from LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning of Mornings LA with incredible great news for May 2nd, 2022 about your fourth stimulus check that is now landed in every U.S. state. In this fourth stimulus check update of 2022, live on air from Santa Monica, California, we'll go over the breaking details about that fourth stimulus check in every U.S. state. How do you get it? We're going to go over it in this recording. But first, become a member. The link's at the top of the chat and the pinned comment. The breaking news is that the Build Back Better Act back on basis. That would give you additional checks off of the checks that have already landed, $15,000 to $80,000. Then we had that FOMC meeting starting on Wednesday. Oh boy, this is the big money that could impact your wallet, that SS300, and what J-Powell's doing with inflation and interest rates. Then we have new economic data that released on Friday, new economic data that came out today. Student loan debt forgiveness, huge details as more people are getting their debts forgiven on this channel. It's 7 stimulus, all the latest details on that front as well. Thereafter, we go over to 6 stimulus, and we have a lot of major developing details today as we look at all the big money at issue with third stimulus, the big money at Build Back Better Act. The next up would be 6 stimulus as well. Oh, what a big day it is, and what an exciting morning it is. As this U.S. economy is shrinking, where we're going in 2 years, I'll have the latest guidance later in this video. Stay to the very end, because at the very end of this video, I got more money and more checks for you. Plus, I have my commentary. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, and the coffee is brewing live on air on Mornings LA. Huggerins, Colosseum, Chuckabunga, or Chaka Chaka. We're having a great day today. We're ready to rock and roll. We'll plus have a preview of tonight's Evenings LA in primetime. Major developing details, but remember, over the broadcast, we're going to go over the 4 stimulus checks that have landed in every U.S. state. Remember to become a member, and let's get to it. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, it's a big, bold, beautiful day, and we're ready for the big news that's happening all this week, the big money that's happening today, and we're also ready for a new way to say hello. Hello, Sia. It's a big day, and the excitement starts right here, right now, as Mornings LA gets underway from Santa Monica, California. Let's do it. Let's get that moolah. And good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day. For May 2nd, 2022, from the shores of Santa Monica, California, wow, I am ready for the week, I'm ready for the day, and I'm ready for those big checks. You heard me right in that opening remarks. There is now a 4th stimulus check in every U.S. state. Remember, a 4th stimulus check has now landed in every U.S. state by direct deposit. I'll show you how to get it. You get it by not staring at the mailbox, but by becoming a member. Go to the top of the chat and become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Casino VIP. Then get an incredible newsletter Monday through Friday. We'll go over how to get this 4th stimulus check now in every U.S. state later in this recording. Stay to the very end. But we start the day with the exciting news about Build Back Better Act. Then we'll be turning to the developing details of that student loan debt forgiveness, 7 stimulus, that SS300 that heats up with that J-Powell meeting at the FOMC on Wednesday. And then we'll be going to that 6 stimulus that caused by that supply chain disruption. Well, what a wonderful week it is. There is now a 4th stimulus check in every U.S. state. And later in this recording, I'm going to show you how to get that 4th stimulus check. There's at least one, and in some cases, there's lots of them in every U.S. state. But first, let me get to the Build Back Better Act. It would give you additional, let me say that again, additional 4 stimulus checks, about $15,000 to $80,000 across 3 classes and 3 add-ons. The incredible great news today is that the White House is refocusing attention back on Build Back Better Act. Insiders and also people on the record, like Andrew Bates, the president's spokesperson, says that the president's renegotiating again to get 4 stimulus done out the door. Negotiations reportedly have continued with Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema and Joe Biden. Why? Because the president's poll ratings are falling. Americans understand that the president has stalled up. Elizabeth Warren was deeply critical of the president over the weekend, and the president's disapproval rating is now higher than his approval rating. So the president's trying to refocus back on getting that Build Back Better Act done, and the good news is that he will get it done. Why? Because he has an inherent deadline. That inherent deadline is the midterm elections. Election night is not just November. Why? Because most Americans now vote by mail, and if you vote by mail, then you need those checks at least 90 days ahead of time. And if you need those checks 90 days ahead of time, then the negotiations need to wrap up and conclude in the month of May. We also have now a new inherent deadline to get the vote called, and that inherent deadline is by Memorial Day weekend. This, of course, is for Build Back Better Act. There is already a forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. Build Back Better Act would give you additional checks, extra checks on top of that. Yes, let's say that again. There's a forced stimulus check in every U.S. state right today. I'm going to show you how to get that forced stimulus check in just a second. But the Build Back Better Act would give you $15,000 to $80,000 additional checks over 3 clusters, like cluster number 1 with that hazard pay and $4,000 of elder care, like add-on number 2, $25,000 of free home of money to the purchase of your first home, like add-on number 2, that $250 billion of free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities, like that second cluster. Paid leave, like that third cluster. The seniors, and like that third add-on, though that MSC. The incredible details at issue is that the big money in Build Back Better Act may actually get, you ready for this one? Bipartisan support. Why? Because this election is different than prior elections. This time around, Republicans and Democrats both agree that the U.S. economy is stalling up. And what I'm recording now is that I think that it's very likely to see bipartisan support for another version of the Build Back Better Act, maybe a new, better version of Build Back Better Act done, because either political party may implode if they do nothing. Let's go over the analysis. If Republicans vote against the Build Back Better Act and it gets passed, they could potentially lose in the midterm elections because Democrats will say, we got your money. They voted against giving you money. If the Democrats do Build Back Better Act alone and they don't get it passed, then the Republicans will say, vote the Democrats out. They couldn't even, as the party in control, get you a check. But they do it together as a team, then they can both take a victory lap, whether they, run in lobster shorts or not. There you go. That is why I think that bipartisan passage of a version of Build Back Better Act is more likely. Now, Build Back Better Act also has another push, not only this new inherent deadline, but that other element is the economy. The U.S. economy is stalling up, and the data is coming in from both the economic front and also the corporate front. If you watched this channel last weekend, you saw all those horrible numbers as we ended the first quarter of this year with horrible numbers from corporate earnings. Let's use Apple, for example. Apple not only had bad numbers for the first quarter of this year, but said the third quarter of this year will be even worse. Why? Apple, which makes the iPhone, has component parts in the iPhone from China, makes them in China for Apple, or imports them to be used in the iPhone. What are they saying? Major supply chain disruption. That supply chain disruption is disrupting their projections of earnings. And folks, let's look at the numbers. 80% of S&P 500 companies have reported positive earnings per share for Q1 above the 5-year average, but for the current quarter, second quarter, we have 26 S&P companies who have issued negative guidance. Oh, yeah, it's really quite bad. A lot of the numbers were the worst numbers we had seen in corporate earnings last week since the start of the pandemic. And in the case of some companies like Amazon, the worst numbers that you have seen since about 2015. Yeah, this is not a bad one-day turnaround. This are horrible numbers. Apple equates this to third quarter revenue falling because of supply chain disruption. Now, those bad numbers are added with bad economic numbers. Economic numbers in the United States, when they're poor, help you in money and your stimulus. Why? Because people want to give you stimulus when the economy's not doing well. Well, the economy's not doing well. The gross national product of the U.S. economy was supposed to be 7.1% last month. It shrunk, it came in at 6.9%, and now it's shrinking. White House Insider says it's shrinking to 3.7%. by the end of the year. I'm projecting it's going to 0% by the end of the year. Yeah, why? Because I'm saying we're going to recession for 2 years starting next year. I'm not alone. Deutsche Bank saying as well. And also, JP Morgan saying, excuse me, not JP Morgan, one of the other banks is saying Goldman Sachs saying there's a 35% chance of a recession for 2 years starting next year. The housing starts down 4 consecutive months. Non-farm payrolls missing by 60,000. The numbers could be coming in bad across the board. This is good news for Build Back Better Act because guess what? When the economy is bad, then what happens? People get new hairstyles. You didn't know that? You didn't know that? Oh, yeah. When the economy's bad, people get good new hairstyles. So it's good news for you. What's also bad when the economy's bad is that more people want to give you stimulus. Well, that is not alone because let's jump over to that SS300 for a second. SS300 is that promise from Joe Biden to swap that COLA for inflation. What does that mean? Well, your benefits are assessed based upon a benchmark. That benchmark is COLA. COLA doesn't move, and that's why it came in at 5% last year. You got cheated. It should have been at 8% in inflation. If it had been an 8% inflation, your benefits would go up $200 per month. But the good news today is that if Joe Biden makes that phone call to that Social Security Administrator head and says, can you stop having people with that San Francisco hairstyle? Joe Biden makes that phone call and asks the Social Security Administrator head to swap COLA for inflation, then guess what? You get $200 more per month. Not just this month, not just this year, but a lifetime. Because once your benefits go up, they never go down. Then, if inflation tracks at 4% later this year, that's another $100. It's all good. But then we get to, this guy. Hi, Jay. How are you? Well, Jay Powell, that's your head of the Federal Reserve, is having those FOMC meetings this week. They start on Wednesday. It's a 2-day meeting. The decision will be released Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then Jay will have a press conference at 2:30. I will have it for you on this channel. What's the latest details today? I already told you that Jay Powell is doing a half a basis point increase at that May FOMC meeting. And then another half a basis point thereafter. This is to raise interest rates to bring down inflation. Does it hurt your SS300? No. I'm going to show you why in a second. But a new report from Richard Fisher, former president of the Federal Reserve, that's former president of the Federal Reserve, and the Bank of Dallas says, I think the only way to break inflation today is to come in more aggressively. Tighter policy. So he's saying to do something more aggressive than what we're doing right now. Not happening. Jay Powell's always said, I'm not doing 3/4 of a basis point. Now, the 10-year Treasury benchmark, which is very important, the 10-year Treasury note, the bond, is trading up today. 3%. That's so high. That's really high. And that 3% is signaling the highest number we've seen since 2018. Ouch. Why is the bond trading up? Because the Federal Reserve is coming in with higher interest rates. The bond traders expecting it to be higher. What am I saying? I am saying that there will be a 50 basis point increase on Wednesday, and then another 50 basis point thereafter, and maybe a few more meetings. What are Wall Street insiders saying today? This quote caused me to take a double take. I mean, sort of what I do when I'm at the beach and I see a wavable check. Is that the wavable check? I took a double take because the quote today says the Wall Street market is expecting a 25 basis point increase for the remaining FOMC 5 meetings this year. Excuse me? That's not happening. He's going to come in a lot more aggressively than 25 basis points. And that means what for your benefits? So let's go back to that across the board. If Jay Powell does a half basis point at the June FOMC meeting, can you still lock in $200 per month? I think you can. What about thereafter? I think you can. What about the end of the year? I think it's going to come at a 4% inflation rate. Jay Powell says 1.9. Not going to happen. Why? The current inflation in the United States economy is caused by supply chain disruption. And Jay Powell has nothing in his toolbox to fix that situation. There's 3 supply chain disruptions right today for May 2nd. The first one is coming out of COVID. The second one is Vladimir Putin invading Ukraine. The third one is the Chinese subvariant of Omicron, causing lockdown of those factories. They can't make our parts, they can't make their parts and give them to us. That supply chain disruption causing prices to go up. When you look at the consumer price index, the CPI, February to March, what happened? Oh, boy. It went up. The price of energy, 11% in 4 weeks. The price of fresh fruits and vegetables, that's including Brussels sprouts for some of you in Michigan. It It went up 3% in 4 weeks. Oh, the rates are just skyrocketing. That signals that inflation is actually hotter than we think it is. Again, now let's bring that back in point. That's good news for Build Back Better Act. Why? Because Build Back Better Act gets the push of two things now. One, the midterm elections. Two, the bad economic data. That is why the White House says they want to vote on Build Back Better Act by Memorial Day weekend. And I think it'll happen. That means that the negotiations have to wrap up in May. I think it's going to happen. And we could see bipartisan support. Meantime, what the J-POW is doing this Wednesday, we already know what he's doing because I've been reporting this for a month, a half a basis point. But what is he doing thereafter? I'm not worried. All I'm worried is that Joe Biden makes that phone call. Make that phone call to the Social Security Administrator head and say, ban lobster shorts in America. Ban lobster shorts in America and ban the expression hallucium. And then we're good. No, he also has to tell the Social Security Administrator head to swap colon for inflation. And then we're good. Then you get $200 more per month this month, thereafter, every month thereafter, a lifetime. And then another $100 later this year because I think inflation is coming at 4%. Now, the good news, the great news is that even though we were just covering the Build Back Better Act for stimulus congressional bill, there has already been fourth stimulus checks landing in every U.S. state. Whoa, this is incredible. Look at the camera and repeat back with me right now. A fourth stimulus check is now in every U.S. state. A fourth stimulus check is now in every U.S. state. Let's say it together. A fourth stimulus check is in your state. It's in my state. It's in every U.S. state. What are these fourth stimulus checks? I'm going to show you in just a second. A fourth stimulus check has landed, and in some cases, multiple fourth stimulus checks have landed, and they're in direct deposit in every state. That means you cannot stare at the bank account and say, oh, how are you? You're not going to get it if all you're doing is standing by the mailbox. How do you get that fourth stimulus check that is landed in every U.S. state or checks that's landed in every U.S. state? You want to become a member. Go to the top of the chat and pin comment, become a member. Get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. Now, the other great news coming up after the commercial break is that student loan debt forgiveness. Wow, viewers of this channel are getting big debts forgiven, and they are ecstatic. What's the latest on that student loan debt forgiveness? Well, all the latest details after the commercial break. The details is that more debts have been forgiven in the last 7 days, and more debts could be forgiven thereafter. But how much and how much will it also not be? We have a latest update on that front as well. Then we'll be turning over to that sixth stimulus. You need that sixth stimulus because guess what? We're heading into recession, folks. We're heading into 2 years of recession. And what is the situation on that sixth stimulus? Well, I'll have new data today about what's going on that front. But of course, after the commercial break, you know what we're doing. Yeah, you know what we're doing after the commercial break. We're getting those fourth stimulus checks in every U.S. state. I'll show you how to get them. Become a member. Go to the top of the channel, the pin comment, and get that incredible newsletter. After the commercial break, we're going to go over each of those incredible checks. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, the coffee is brewing, the lobster shorts are lobstering, and the holosium is pelosium. I can't believe I just said that. On the back of you in 60 seconds as the Morning Tally continues, but first, here's a little bit about the members community page.
If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE.
And the incredible details continues on Mornings LALATE, live on air from May 2nd, 2022. How you doing? In the second half of this video, we're going to go over those forced stimulus checks that have landed in every U.S. state, including Ohio and including Toledo, the city of Toledo. We'll go over those incredible checks and how you get them. But first, you want to become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Casino VIP. The link is at the top of the channel, pinned comment, and we're going to go over all those incredible forced stimulus checks that have now landed in every U.S. state. Then we'll be going to that student loan debt forgiveness later in this video. But stay to the very end because I have new checks at the very end for you and some surprising, great details. Whoa. So how you doing? It's a new week. It's a new month. It's a new quarter. And it's a new expression. Chuckabunga. No, chugga-chugga. Okay, Riz. In the second half of this video, we're going to go over the incredible details of these forced stimulus checks that have landed in every U.S. state. Before we get to the spot, I need you to focus and look at me and repeat back with me verbatim. A forced stimulus check has landed in every U.S. state. A forced stimulus check has landed in every U.S. state. Some states have actually multiple checks. Forced stimulus check has landed in your state. Forced stimulus check has landed in my state. Forced stimulus check has landed in every U.S. state. So what are these forced stimulus checks? Let's go over the incredible details of these forced stimulus checks. The forced stimulus checks that have landed in U.S. states include many different ones. We're going to go over each of these forced stimulus checks that have landed in every U.S. state. The first one is Check A. Check A started landing in U.S. states in late March. It's a $6,500 to $12,000 check. That forced stimulus check has great income qualifications. Oh boy, and I'm excited. $75,000 or less, single individual, you can get it. Married couple, $150,000 or less, you can get it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, you can get it as well. It is the homeowner's weatherizing grant check, and boy, is it incredible. How do you get this forced stimulus check? It's so simple. To get that forced stimulus check, you, one, become a member. Go to the top of the chat, the pinned comment. Become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Casino VIP. Get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. Go right into the newsletter and go down to those first few lines. You see Check A. It's so simple. Then choose the link right under Check A. It'll send you into the national website. Then you choose your respective state, like Ohio. Then you choose the Ohio Weatherizing Grant check. Wow, so simple. And then incredible application, you'll pounce, and you will get $6,500 to $12,000 in every U.S. state. Every U.S. state has Check A. I'll say that again. Every U.S. state has Check A, including your state, the state from some viewer in the live chat right next to you, including Ohio. Every U.S. state has Check A. Let's go to Check B, even better. Whoa, look at these great numbers. $15,000 to $80,000. My goodness. This is a forced stimulus check. It became a law in late March. Income qualifications, the same. A single individual, $75,000 less, you can get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, you can get it. And if you're on benefits, you can get it. I've had viewers who are on SSI clean up with a fortune. They have gotten $66,000 from Check B. There you go. How do you get Check B? So simple. So simple. Become a member. Open that newsletter. Go in the newsletter. Go down to Check B in the newsletter. I write it all out for you. You just need to go open the newsletter. I mean, how simple can it be to give it to you wrapped up in a bow in a box? Go right in there and go down to Check B. There's going to be another link. You click the link and it sends you into the nationwide website. The nationwide website will have a map. And on that map that looks just like this, you're going to choose your state, like Ohio, and you go right in there and apply. It'll say approved, and then within 1 week, you get that incredible check. $6,500 to $80,000 is what viewers are tracking at across the board. The third check is even also incredible. That third check, forced stimulus check, has landed in every U.S. state. Check A is in every state. Check B is in every state. Check C is in every state. Check C is money for rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and more. And it's been in every U.S. state since 2020. This is really the leftover third stimulus, but I call it fourth stimulus for purposes of this video. And it is a lot of money. How much money is it? Let's look at the money that viewers in every single U.S. state has gotten since this became a law in early 2021. They have gotten, on average, about $30,000 for the first item, which is the rent. Let's pull up the graphic there. Oh, wow, look at those numbers. Oh, then when we look at the money for utilities, even more, $15,000. This last week, viewers in all these different states send me beautiful messages. If you've got any money, any of these monies from check A, check B, check C, at any time, post it in the live chat right now. Because when you do, you inspire other people. Look at the inspiration that comes from Nisi. She has gotten more money since then. She's gotten upwards of about $40,000. There's Mark. He was 32. I told Mark to go get more. He got more. How much more did Mark get than 32? About $120,000 more than 32,000. Mark went from 32,000 to 50,000 to 100,000. And he's now at 166,000. Lorraine, she was at 105, and now she's at $120,000. So how do you get check C? It's currently now tracking at $2,000 a month over 12 months, but many viewers of this channel are averaging about $45,000. And now a lot of viewers are getting over $150,000. You're going to reach out to a series of places. You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city house authority, your county hall, your county house authority, your state hall, and your state house authority. Then, because you're a member, you're also going to reach out to the 6 or 7 nonprofits featured in the membership newsletter. And you're going to ask for rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. And you're going to get as many months as you can, and you're going to pounce. You deserve it. And that is check C that is available in every U.S. state. So far, we've gone over 4 stimulus checks for A, in every state, B in every state, C in every state. Now we're going to go to check D. Now, check D is not in every U.S. state, but is in a lot of them. Because remember what I said, among A, B, C, or D, you'll have at least one of them, and maybe all 4 of them. A, B, C, D. That's 4. You know, I'm counting on my lobsters. I'm counting on my Brussels sprouts, my mangoes. Is that 4 mangoes? It is 4 mangoes. Let's go to that incredible now. Check D. Check D just started heating up about a week ago. So this one's the newest one. That's why it's D. And that is a check that's coming from your state. States were given lots of money under third stimulus and now have to use the money or lose it by December 31st. And this is for stimulus. Again, how do you get this money and which states are paying it? Very simple. Become a member. When you go to the membership newsletter, you go down to check D, and I give the rundown of your state. I give the rundown of what your state is doing, how they're doing it, how they passed it, is it proposed, or when is it happening? The spectrum of check D at the moment is it's generally mostly a stimulus check. It's generally the same income qualification as a third, and it's generally either law already or proposed. And there you go. Now, let's go over to student loan debt forgiveness before I give you some more checks in just a second and some more breaking details across the board. So important coming up in just a second. Student loan debt forgiveness is one of those subject matters that we always sort of put to the side and never remember how deeply important it is. And guess what? In the last few weeks, I've had all these wonderful comments coming from viewers saying, thank you, LA, for your videos, especially when it gets to student loan debt forgiveness, because I got my debt forgiven. What's going on? This is 7 stimulus. The president is doing student loan debt forgiveness with 7 stimulus, and people are getting big, big paydays. Let's go over the details of what 7 stimulus has done so far and what it will do next. First, the president forgave student loan debts for individuals who became disabled after graduation. Then, people who went to work in the public or nonprofit sector after graduation. Then, the president took people's debts that were due in May and said, you're not due to September. Thereafter, the president, in a biggie, said, if your debts are in default, I'm putting them in good standing. Wow, that's huge. And then came the best one. The president said, if your student loan debts were procured by fraud by the university against you, I'm going to forgive the student loan debts completely. Boy, folks, we're just getting started because that's the current status across the board. The president, many insiders, including myself, believe will forgive more student loan debt than in a couple weeks and is likely be about $10,000. Quote, I'm not considering $50,000 of student loan debt forgiveness, but I am in the process of taking a hard, good look. He said no to $50,000 on Friday, but many insiders believe he's going to do $10,000 on top of what we discussed already, which would wipe out $321 billion of federal student loan debts, and nearly 12 million Americans will no longer have debt. Now, if you're a borrower and you've been taking notes on all this about student loan debt, I want you to get a pen and paper and write down some more details right now. I'm no expert when it comes to student loan debt, and a lot of this is very complicated, but I want you to first go to the Department of Education's federal website, go to the press releases, and read all the press releases in the last month, because this is where the Education Secretary, Miguel Cardona, will explain to you what he's doing. Number two, I want you to write down these words. IDR credit. Igloo, Dara, Robert. IDR credit. Then I want you to write down these words. Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. Then write down these words. Income-based repayment program. What's going on with education now? Education has been told by Joe Biden to look at the statutes, modify the statutes so more debts can be forgiven. The Education Department said that the changes lead to immediate debt cancellation for borrowers under the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, says the Undersecretary in a new comment just a few days ago. And we're having an ongoing rulemaking that'll take a good look at the statutes that should qualify for IDR credit. And there may be potential for us to improve those rules as we go forward. Wow, that is incredible, great news across the board. Now, let's go back to the latest other breaking news across the board, which is 6 stimulus. Before new checks and big news coming up in just a second. Stay to the very end. The latest details when we talk about 6 stimulus is that China's supply chain disruption is getting worse today. The Federal Reserve has no tools to get supply chain disruption down. Yeah, the first one because of COVID, the second one because of Putin, and the third one now is China's subvariant of Omicron really crippling its factories, its production. We make some of our products there in our factories that are in China, and then we also import some of their products. Can't get them, causes supply chain disruption, causes prices to go up. And now China's factory industry has contracted, gotten smaller at a steeper pace in April than we initially thought. Omicron and the government's zero COVID policy were the main culprits for China's activity decline in April, halting industrial production, disrupting supply chain, says Rodrigo Catril of the National Australian Bank in a new note today. A sharp Chinese economy slowdown remains realistic at this stage for this quarter. But I got to tell you, I don't need Catril's quote. I got Apple. Apple gave you guidance early in this video that China is going to cause supply chain disruption in the third quarter this year. Not this quarter, but the third quarter. That means they got to do that 6 stimulus. The 6 stimulus is the alliances of Germany, France, and the United States to offset the cost of these inflationary pressures. Because guess what? Jay Powell is going to raise those interest rates, but he's just going to give you higher interest rates. He ain't going to solve the inflation, in my opinion. And that is why you're going to need a major 6 stimulus package, which may merge, you heard me right, merge into the Build Back Better Act. But the great news as we go into a big noontime today is that 4th stimulus checks have now landed in every U.S. state. And let me go over more about those 4 stimulus checks that have landed in every U.S. state. It's so important now that we start the month of May that you and I are all on the same book. And what's very important for you to note is I need you to get caught up, focused, and on point. It starts by understanding where we are before we get to the detail. The first thing you need to get up to point on and repeat back with me. Look at the camera, repeat back with me. There is a 4 stimulus check in every U.S. state right today. 4 stimulus checks are landing by direct deposit in every U.S. state today. Once you have that understanding of that status, then we can move forward and start focusing on how to get it. We can focus on how to get it. But if you're left back by repeating, well, is there a check in my state? Is there a check in my state? When are the checks landing? How the check? Will there be checks? When is they voting? No, no, no. You're missing you're behind the eight ball. And this is when I give a little bit of tough love. The tough love is when Joe Biden made these checks law. When I delivered you to the news that these checks are law, I said pounce, Purple Hawks. Pounce, because the Purple Hawk expression that I created in 2021 means you got to pounce as a hawk because the money will not be there forever. It's important for you to get on point that checks are available everywhere, because if you wait to September, October, say, oh, there were checks there? Well, guess what? By then, the checks may be gone. Yeah. I need you to get caught up and understand there are checks in every U.S. state, including yours. All right. Once we've done that, we can start moving forward. Then what we do is basically a series of steps. The first one is, okay, there's a check in every U.S. state. In my state, what check is in my state? I'm referring to you. What check is in your state? Check A is in every U.S. state. Check B is in every U.S. state. Check C is in every U.S. state. And some states have check D. So let's remember, A, B, and C are in every U.S. state. Every U.S. state. And then some states are check D. D, but in my opinion, most states will also have a check D in the coming weeks. It's taking a little bit of time because it's a new check. Would there potentially be more checks? There's potentially to be more checks before we even get to Build Back Better Act. And when they become law, I'm going to show you how to get them. You know what this is like? It's like a college education. You may have gone to the community college, which is referring to the other channels. Did I say that? Yeah. You may have gone to high school. Yeah, the other college. You may have gone to grade school. The other channels. They give you 4 minutes of video, and then they say, oh, you know what? See you tomorrow. I didn't get any information from that video. It's 4 minutes long. And, they don't show you how to get any checks. They sort of talk about what Joe Manchin had for lunch and what color were Mitch's lobster shorts. Yeah, that didn't really help me get any money, did it? What I do in the University of LALATE is LALATE 101. I teach you that there's a forced stimulus check in every state. LALATE 202 is the second class where I show you, okay, now that you understand there's a check in every U.S. state, then we're going to understand what the different checks are. There's a check A. That's in every U.S. state. Check B, that's in every U.S. state. Check C, that's in every U.S. state. And check D, that's in some of the U.S. states. Okay, then when we get to LA Class 303, what are we learning then? At LA 303, we are getting our first check. We are going and doing what I said. Becoming a member, getting that newsletter, clicking the link, applying, and then whammo, I got a check, LALATE. I got a forced stimulus check. Thank you. You got a forced stimulus check. You got a forced stimulus check. You didn't stand by the mailbox. You didn't stand by the direct deposit account. You didn't stand there with your hand out. You didn't hold a donut. Well, at least you didn't show me you were holding a donut. You applied at LA 303 class for those checks you had learned in class 1, 2, and 3, and you got a check. Well, what's LA 404? LA 404 is when you come back and show that you gotten 2 checks. Yeah, that you got maybe check A and B, or that you got 2 checks from check C. Yeah, because viewers are getting multiple checks on a check C. And there you go. That is the success you bring. That is the success we do as a family. That is what this channel is all about. And that is why I want you to look at the screen and read it out loud to yourself right now. There is a 4th stimulus check now in every U.S. state. There is 4th stimulus checks now in every U.S. state, and you need to go get it. Go to the top of the channel, pin comment, become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Casino VIP. Open that membership newsletter Monday through Friday. Go in there, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with that membership newsletter, and go get check A. Go get check B. Go get check C. Go get check D. Meantime, join me tonight on Evenings LA, and I know what I want you to do on Evenings LA and all the videos throughout the day. When you come to watch a video on this channel, I want you to put the cell phone, if you're watching this channel with a cell phone, on the table, prop it up so you can watch it so your hands are free. If you're watching this channel on your computer, put your earphones on or turn up the volume, and then get in front of you the membership newsletter. Get that membership newsletter in front of you while you're watching the video. Let's make it very frank. I mean, who does this? No one does this except me and you. No U.S. broadcast for financial news in America gives you a newsletter like this. Anything even close, let alone a newsletter, where I show you the checks you can get. I put it all together for you. I show you the checks in your state. I show you the applications to apply. And it's all put together in an incredible newsletter. No one does the effort, and no one has it as easy for you than you on this channel. I want you to watch the video with that membership newsletter in front of you. So guess what? This is how it's going to look. You're going to hear me describing it for you on camera, and then you follow along with that membership newsletter. So when I get to check A, you look at the newsletter. Oh, there's that check A. I hear what he's saying. I know I put up graphics on the screen, and the graphic will say check A, and it'll say for stimulus, and it'll say things like that. But it's important for you to have it in front of you, that membership newsletter. Watch it and follow along while you hear me. So then you get the two senses. You get the hearing, the audio from me telling you it, and then you got the visual of the newsletter in front of you. And then it makes it so much easier. It's like you're going to a college class. The professor's giving you a handout that says, here is how you get this money. You hear him describe it. Maybe he writes on the blackboard. But you have the printout in front of you. You follow along, and then you listen. It can't be any easier than that. Repeat back with me. There's a forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. There's a forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. There are forced stimulus checks in every U.S. state. All you have to do is go get them. And there'll be more, and that's why you want to be a member and stay a member. Become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power Cow, VIP. The membership link is at the top of the tab, the pinned comment. Become a member today and get those forced stimulus checks in every U.S. state. Meantime, what's going to come up next? We have 11 a.m. noontime. Then we have a brand new afternoon to LA. Oh, it is so good. Then we got a brand new evenings LA in prime time at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Man, oh man, that is an incredible video. Then throughout the day, we'll try to figure out a new hello expression. Pelosium? It doesn't work. Cowabunga? No, that's what sirloin says. We'll figure out something else to say when we say hello. But when checks are landing, we're going to say wahoo, because that is when you've graduated. From the School of Stimulus, from the School of LA, from the School of Financial Independence, I'm so proud of you, and we're going to have a great month. It's a huge day and a wonderful recording and a wonderful time to see you in the live chat. Stay informed, stay positive, become a member, because the toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, and the coffee is brewing. See you next at 11 a.m. as Mornings LA continues from the shores of Santa Monica, California. Have a beautiful day, have a beautiful week, but stay with me throughout the day as more breaking news develops. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.